The White Hind of Glen Orrin. One autumn day, Robin Ban roamed Glen Orrin searching for healing herbs. Knowledge and secret charms had been passed to him by his grandmother, a famed healer who had long since entered her crone stage and was now too frail to collect herbs herself. It was a beautiful day and the sun shone brightly. The sky was blue and there wasn't a cloud in sight. This wasn't just down to chance, as Robin's gran had cast a spell to keep the wind asleep up in the high hills while he worked. Robin looked high and low and found many rare herbs. He decided to take a little rest from his foraging and sat down for a while in the cool shade of a hazel grove. It was so peaceful, with only the noise of the birds and insects to keep him company. Suddenly, the stillness was broken as Robin heard something coming through the undergrowth towards him. Looking in the direction of the sound, he saw a young female deer. Robin had never seen anything like the hind. She was snow white with eyes of blue, hoofs like amber, and to his surprise, she had a gold chain around her neck. When the hind saw Robin, she stopped just for a second, then quickly disappeared back into the foliage. Robin sprang to his feet and ran after her. He was used to the chase and fast on his feet. Pursuing the flashes of white as they flickered between the trees, he began to catch up with the deer. Robin's bow was on his back and he had arrows in his belt, but he had no intentions of shooting such a beautiful animal. On reaching a green clearing in the wood, the hind sank exhausted to the grass, and Robin reached her before she could get up again. His first thought was to snatch off the gold necklace, but the hind turned round with tearful eyes and spoke in a gentle, pleading voice, saying, "Why do you pursue me?" Robin was startled and amazed to hear the hind could speak. He replied, "Your beauty made me follow you." The white hind said, "Things will not go well for you if you harm me, but if you can find it in your heart to help me, I promise you will not regret it." Robin was no stranger to the hidden world and asked, "Are you a woman under a spell or one of the Sidhe?" "I was not always a hind. I am the king's daughter. Enemies of my father enchanted me, and I am doomed to wander over moor and mountain for the rest of my life." "What can I do to help?" said Robin softly. "You need not fear me, as I am willingly at your service." The white hind rose up and said in her soft voice, "The fairy folk of Glen Orrin have told me a way to break the spell. Near the river Orrin there is a small but precious herb, a fairy herb. It has a red stem with roots as yellow as gold. I have tried many times to get it for myself, but each time I go near the spot that it grows, an enemy has been waiting for me. I've been lucky to escape with my life." "I'll bring you the fairy herb," Robin promised. "When you find it," said the hind, "you mustn't break it or bruise it, but take it gently from the ground, grasping the root in your left hand. Nor must you pluck it before dawn, for it has to be lifted before the sun's golden rim appears above the hills. Make sure your face is turned towards the south, and as you lift the herb, repeat these words: O fairy plant, O plant of charm, undo the harm, remove the sadness. If thou'lt o'ercome the evil done, the rising sun will bring her gladness. O root of gold, O stem so red, O green-leaved head benign and slender, let not the evil spell endure, but swift and sure thy service render. O'ercome the evil thought and deed, the doom decreed, the dire bewitchment. O bless her now with glad release, and joy and peace for her enrichment." The hind continued, "There is one last thing to do. You must carry the plant to the red cave and place it on the flat grey stone that lies at its entrance. Only then will the spell be undone." Robin smiled at the hind and promised, "I won't fail you," and set off to look for the fairy herb. All day long he searched high and low, but it wasn't until the sun began to set and twilight descended he discovered the red-stemmed herb, tucked away in the cranny of a grey rock. He pushed a hazel twig into the grassy bank near the herb and made himself a bed of heather. He was determined to keep his promise and thought to himself, "Home can wait till tomorrow. My gran will understand." As he lay down to sleep, Robin repeated a charm taught to him by his grandmother, the charm of early waking. "As the pool is deep, so be my sleep. Peaceful my dreams as woodland mossy streams. And ere is heard the song of bird, in wood or brake, may I awake, may I awake." Robin slept well and woke up to the first shades of dawn. He quickly got up and made his way to the fairy herb. Dealing with his face to the south, Robin carefully removed the earth near to the roots of the fairy herb. He repeated the charm given to him by the White Hind and lifted out the herb so gently that the dewdrops were left untouched on its slender leaves. Before the sun's golden rim appeared above the hills, Robin carefully carried the herb to the red cave. He laid it respectfully on the grey stone and left, thanking the spirits of the place for their help. Robin hadn't eaten yet, so went to a nearby stream to catch breakfast. It wasn't long before he caught a speckled trout and lit a fire to cook his morning meal. Feeling refreshed, he went back to his original work of collecting herbs from the glen. No sooner had he started when he heard a rustling from behind the trees. A beautiful blue-eyed maiden with golden hair appeared. She wore a pale blue dress and had a gold chain around her neck. She smiled at Robin and said, "You have broken the spell that bound me." At first Robin couldn't speak, as her beauty had captured his heart. Finding his voice, he said, "I willingly gave my help as you were in need, but now I am the one under a spell." This made the princess smile. She took the gold chain from her neck and gave it to Robin, saying, "Take this chain to the king's fort, and when it is called for, bring it forward saying who gave it to you." With that she said farewell and vanished once again into the trees. Robin returned home with the herbs he'd collected. His gran told him that he'd missed a rare sight. The king and his great lords had been hunting in the neighbourhood and rode by the cottage. With them was a fair young maiden on a white horse. They were all extremely happy, and from what she could make out, there seemed to be some sort of celebration going on. Days later, the king summoned all the great men and all the great ladies of the land to come to his fort, as his daughter, the Princess Fair, was to be wed. Robin wasn't a great lord or a famed warrior, but he did have renown as a herbalist, so he received an invitation to the wedding. It was a long way to travel on foot. Robin had to cross wide moors and deep glens to get there. When Robin arrived at the fort, it was already bustling with people. There were lots of tents and booths set up to entertain the king's guests, and it had a wonderful party atmosphere. As Robin wasn't one of the nobility, he was expected to help out with the wedding preparations, serving lords, ladies and great warriors who were there. When the celebrations began, the king told the story of how his enemies had used magic to transform Princess Fair into a White Hind and doomed her to wander Glen Orrin. He was overcome with joy as she'd been rescued from the spell and was now back with him. The king had called everyone together as he was going to give his daughter's hand in marriage to the man who saved her from this enchantment. When the king had been out hunting, a young lord in the hunting party called Talarcorn had found the princess. He now claimed her as his bride. As the king told the story, Fair entered the hall and a hushed silence fell. The king announced, "My dearest daughter, Talarcorn, who found you wandering alone in Glen Orrin, now claims his reward. I promised the man who brought you back to me should have you as his wife and be named as my successor." There was a sparkle in Fair's blue eyes as she replied confidently, "I gave my gold chain to the man who rescued me. If Talarcorn is that man, he will now return it to me." Talarcorn bowed his head awkwardly and admitted, "The princess had no chain when I met her." This surprised the king, but he was wise and knew exactly what to do next. "Then," he said, "the man who can show me the chain of gold will marry Fair and become my successor." Robin was in the kitchen, fetching some food for a lord, when he overheard people talking about the king's proclamation. As soon as he heard the news, he stopped what he was doing and made his way to the hall. Humbly, he approached the king's table and knelt before the king and the Princess Ferb. He took out his hair bag and withdrew the gold chain that the princess had left in his care. Ferb smiled at Robin and said, "Father, this is the man who first found me and saved me from the evil spell." It was obvious to the king that Ferb and Robin were smitten with love, and he was more than happy to keep his word. Robin returned the necklace to Ferb, and the king took him by the hands. He called for his servants to bring a robe of purple and belt of gold, and when Robin was dressed in this finery, the king asked him to sit at his right hand, with his daughter at his left. The king stood up and announced to the world, "This gentle and wise soul shall marry my daughter. I hereby name Robin Ban as my successor to rule the kingdom." The crowd cheered and the revels went long into the night and for the days that followed.